Namaste everyone, welcome back to LiveStronger. So today we are going to work on our lower body. We're going to work our legs. I keep saying hit. We're going to work on our lower body again. My hamstrings are completely recovered. I don't feel much of soreness, but I do still have a little bit of soreness on my left quad, just above my knee. Maybe because of the all the leg extensions and the lunges. Uh, Nothing for me to really stop myself from working or doing the leg workout. It should be absolutely fine. I don't think uh, it will be limiting me in terms of performing the exercise. And if your legs are completely recovered and you feel absolutely fine, let's begin this workout. If in any case your legs are still sore and you're still working on it, take a day. You can, you know, watch this video again, do it later on. Uh, the schedule which I'm following right now is I'm trying to make the schedule as as practical as possible, but it would not be the case with everyone. Sometimes you might have some other commitments which would result in missing a day or two in between, or you want to take a day off. So that's absolutely fine. You can still follow it day after day. So it is not a rigid schedule. It's a day. It's a Consider it as a video bank of exercises which you can just randomly visit and start exercising. On that note, let's begin. We'll do our dynamic stretches, which would be a couple or maybe even 3 stretches, just to ensure our lower body is completely open and mobile, and then warm up exercises, and then our actual exercises. I would preferably doing mostly voiceovers today because the gym is busy and there are people, and my voice might not be very audible when I'm doing the exercises. So I'll record all my exercises and do a voiceover and explain it to you how it is done. So I hope it turns out to be good and the experience is not hampered. On that note, let's begin. I'm going to start off with the greatest stretch. So for the first warm up, we are going to do a few leg extensions just to get blood flowing into our quads. So easy repetitions, not much of a weight. I just kept 10 kilos. I want to warm up my joint, and also this would help me identify if there is any kind of pain that would happen during contraction. Everything seems good. I feel the muscle contractions well, so that's a good sign. So that's first warm up. The second warm up, we're just going to do seated hamstring curls. So if you don't have either of these machines, you could do away with basic lunges, weightless lunges as a warm up, reverse lunges, 15 to 20 of them. That should be fine. So I'll set this up for my hamstrings. I need to increase the weight a bit because weight of the cushion itself was heavy. So that's our second warm up. There's few hamstring curls. I figured out the positioning of the machine a little bit better. Feel much of a contraction. Remember, you don't have to go really heavy, just enough weight so you can get 15 to 20 odd reps to get your legs all warmed up. It's also very important to finish your dynamic stretches to ensure your joints are mobile and you're ready for the exercises. So we are done with our warm up. Now we will begin our working sets. For our first exercise, we are going to do squats finally. And for doing the squats, I'm using a bench. So you can call them the famous box squats. So what is this going to do is, you don't have to go deep. It's going to give you feedback from behind once you are parallel to the ground. So I just took an empty bar. I'm going to first position myself for a deep squat, but just touch the bench and come back up. That's it. Eleven, 12. Since it's empty bar, let's go for 15 reps. I feel my quads completely fired. And 15. If you have a squat rack, then it's awesome. You don't have to lift the bar up like I do. You can simply rack it and de-rack it. If you don't have a squat rack and you have only a small barbell, you can do it with that too. If you don't have a barbell, you can start off with at least doing some squats without any weight. So squats are our first exercise. I'm going to do a couple of variations, but otherwise this is our first exercise. I am squatting after a long time, so I'm going to keep the weight less and repetitions high. So in the second set, I'm going to try to go at least maybe till failure, and let's see how it goes. For the second set, not going to use the bench because I wasn't feeling great trying to sit on the bench. I know, or at least I'm habituated to squat to parallel height. So I suggest you continue doing the same. But if you're someone who is experienced and also knows how to squat, join me in squatting without a box or a bench behind you. But if you need it for feedback, please continue doing it for the other sets. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. That was good. My legs are on fire. So, good set. So, we'll take a short break. Go for our set number 3. I just changed the angle of the camera a little bit. So, get to see my stance. Going for my third set. This time, I'm going to do a little wide out to use my inner thighs a bit more. So, breathe in, brace your core and go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's one. So fourth set, still empty bar, not lifting any weights. You're welcome to add weights if you're confident about your form and it doesn't compromise your form midway. If you're someone new, continue doing just weightless squats. This time I'm just going to take outside my shoulder, my strongest jumping posture, and then I'm going to squat, brace, go down, push up, brace, push up, brace, push up. So this ensures your spine doesn't get loaded when you're going down and up. So let's continue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What I'm doing here is partial repetitions, not getting my knees locked out because I'm not going heavier in terms of weight. So I'm overloading with partial repetitions. My quads are on fire. And I'm done. That's fourth set. We're done with our first exercise. Let's take a short break and go back to our second exercise. For our second exercise, we are going to do the donkey calf raises. You already know how to do it. Use a step-up box or a couple of plates to place your toes at a height. Drop your heels. Support yourself in the front on a bench or on a seat, and then just go for it. We'll try to go as many reps as possible. 1. I'm not going to count the reps and bore it for you because it's just to failure. Make sure you feel the contractions in your calves and ensure both your legs are working together. If at any point you feel one of your leg is tiring out before the other, give it a couple of seconds break or few reps break and get it back. Since you have taken a support, you would be able to do that. And my calves are giving up, so I immediately switch. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply do toe races. To ensure my calves regain the neutral length, and also we are working our muscles on our shins. Of course, there's no load here, so they're not being challenged much, but initially, till the time I'm confident, I'm not going to load them, just going to stress them with repetitions, and I start feeling tightness already. So basically we have just superset the front and back side of our lower legs, and they're tired. So that's it, that's set 1. We'll take a short break and go for set 2. Calves still feel tight, but we're going to get the set number 2. Again, as many reps as possible. I hope you're still with me. So let's go. 1, 2. Yeah, I said I won't bore you with the counts. So just do as many reps as possible. Make sure you squeeze your legs high up into the air, your heels, and let them drop completely. I wanted to show you, if one of your legs get tired before the other, how to switch. So imagine my right leg is tired, just put it down, okay, and then slowly lift it up. Since I have support, then continue doing with my left. If my left leg is tired, to continue with my right, I just rest it for 3 to 4 reps and continue with my right. This might sound a little bit counterproductive because now one leg is working more, but that's the easiest way to not stop in between, still keep the stress going on. So I'll continue. My calves are getting extremely tight, unable to contract them efficiently, but that was the goal. Okay, I'm done. Failure. So I'm going to switch and start doing my toe races to cause lengthening in my calves and start working my shin muscles. Now my shin muscles are not at all loaded, unlike my calves, which were loaded with my own body weight. But right now what's happening is they're being overworked, they're getting contracted still, so there is tension being created, so they get tired, blood starts flowing there. And after doing this maybe for another week or 2, we can start adding load to these exercises, external load I mean. Okay, that's it, they're tired. So we're done with 2 sets for our calves, and I don't think I'll be getting an efficient third set out of it. So we're done with this exercise. Now we move on to our third exercise. My third exercise, I'm using a leg press machine which is at my disposal. I don't usually prefer to use them much, but this is very little I have here to work around with. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the leg press machine to get some working done on my hamstrings and my glutes by having a wider stance in my legs and a little bit higher stance, so the load comes onto my glutes and onto my thighs. I've also placed the plate really close to me. If you don't have a horizontal leg press machine and you have a 45-degree incline leg press machine, the rules apply the same way. don't load heavy. We will be focusing on doing higher number of repetitions. Place your feet a little bit higher on the foot plate, so the load is directly or mostly focused on your hamstrings and glutes, and uh, your quad domination or your quads contribution is quite limited or not so much. So I'm doing this after a long time on a leg basically on a machine on a leg press. So I'm going to figure out my position a little bit to see where the load is much, at least in this position, in this kind of a machine. But if you're experienced enough, you can definitely start you can definitely start the exercise immediately. But if you're like someone who's absolutely new or who also are doing it after a long time, I would recommend using the first set as a feedback set, wherein you try to position your feet properly so that you know, okay, this is where the load is transferring onto my glutes, and when it comes close, my glutes are at a stretch, my hamstrings are stretching. So because that's the focus here, not we want the least amount of work done by our quads. As you can see, I have placed it really high on the setup. I go wide out. I make sure my back is completely glued to the table or the bench which I'm sitting on, and then I push. So the load seems easy. Just going to focus, try to position to get the load onto my glutes as much as possible. Remember that having a lot of weight on the leg press machine and moving it a little doesn't contribute much in terms of muscle growth, because you're very strong when it comes to this kind of a pushing motion. What you want to focus is your hamstrings working, your glutes working to stop the weight from falling onto you. So I think it's happening for me in this position. I think I can bring the footbed a little bit more closer to me. I'll get more squeeze as it comes towards me. So the first set, even though I'm working, I'll consider it as to be a set for me to figure out the positioning. Yes, that's good amount of work. What I'm going to do is not take a long break because my muscles are really not tired, and I figured that a lower positioning would help me get more squeeze. And always make sure the machine is always firmly locked. So you can see the footbed is absolutely in front of me. So now if I have to move it from here, I have to really stretch my glutes out and then push it forward. And I'm also going to increase the weight because it was causing a stretch, but not as much as I wanted it to be. I do hold the bench under the seat or with the handles which are provided here to ensure I stay glued to the bench. I don't move or my form doesn't get disturbed. This is the best thing about using machines. You get a lot of support in executing your exercises. So I'm able to push the weight easily with one leg. Doesn't mean I'm very strong, but at least I can position it properly, get my feet out wide like I did in my first set. So making sure the load is much on my glutes, get that stretch, get it as close as possible, and then push. Yes, that feels good. So let's go for 15 reps. Remember, the wider you go, the more your hamstring, glutes, your inner thighs have to work. The narrower you go in any kind of leg exercise wherein you are pushing your body out, your quads jump in more. After a few reps, my quads started working. So my hamstrings are still doing much of the work in terms of controlling the weight coming back onto me, and my glutes are also getting stretched. But when I'm pushing, my quads are doing their work of getting my legs straight. that's rest. So it's difficult, so I'm going to use one leg, slowly bring the weight towards me and then control the fall. And that's set number 2. I'm going to take a short break for set number 3. Let's go. Let's do our set number 3. This time I have increased the weight a little bit more to feel more of a stretch. Remember, I'm just figuring out this piece of equipment, and I'm doing this leg press for the first time. I usually have done leg presses on a 45-degree incline leg presses. So if in your gym you're habituated to the leg press which is available to you, weight progression is not important. The more important part is to make sure that the load when it's coming back towards you is controlled by your hamstrings and by your glutes. So if you have figured that out, and usually that comes with a higher leg position. So I placed it extremely close to me, so I had to like get up and squeeze it out. Now I'm going to slowly position myself. You never need to lock out your knees because we don't want much of quad activation. What we want is hamstrings and glutes to do their job in terms of controlling the weight falling onto us. So when I come close, my hamstring and glutes are stretched, working hard, push, no complete knee extension. So quads are not completely fired, then let it come back as much as you can. Hamstrings and glutes are working. The weight is substantial, so I'm feeling a lot of load. My hamstrings and my glutes are getting instantly stressed out. And my quads started kicking in. I'm going to try a few more reps. And that's it. And we are done with our exercise number 3. That was good. My legs feel quite worked up. Feel great stretch on my hamstrings. Now we move on to our exercise number 4. Exercise number 4, we're going to do our usual dead hangs. I'm going to put on my stopwatch, position myself. I started the watch, just get a comfortable grip, 5 seconds in, and I start hanging. I don't like swinging much, so if you could control yourself swinging, the moment you let go of, it's quite advantageous, because if you swing, you tend to tire yourself much earlier, and then you lose your grip much earlier. So try to be as still as possible. My grip strength has substantially increased, but my endurance is still lacking. So as it comes close to a minute, I start feeling my calluses giving up. Just did few seconds above 1 minute and I'm done. Now we do our static stretches. Just move the camera a little bit behind so you can see the proper positioning. If you haven't seen my static stretches video, this is how we do our quad stretch. We stand straight, take a support of a bench, and then slowly lift one leg at a time into your hand. Now get this leg in line with the leg which is on the ground, and then you get straight. The moment you get straight and look up and get this leg in line with the leg which is grounded, you feel the stretch on your quads, and you hold it for more than 15 seconds. that simple. You can turn the leg a little bit to exaggerate this stretch, but I don't recommend bending forward or leaning forward to get an exaggerated stretch. This is your maximum point your muscle can stretch. So the way you can exaggerate is just by turning sideways to feel different stretch. Now I switch to my second leg. It's important to do our static stretches because this will ensure that our muscles go back to the neutral length post our exercise contraction. Same thing, feet grounded.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Keep the squeeze. This leg of mine is shivering because it's tired. I'm done. This stretch. Now we do our hamstring stretches. Hamstring stretches, I'm just going to do the common easy hamstring stretch wherein I place my feet at a height, comfortable height, not something extremely high, this comfortable height. So my hamstring, which is connected to my glute, and this goes and intersects under my knee into my knee. So it is at its lengthened position. Now if I want to stretch it, I just simply have to push my glute behind. As I push my glute behind, I lean a little bit forward and I start feeling this stretch in my hamstring, and that's it. Don't have to do anything else. You should instantly start feeling the hamstring getting stretched. We hold for 15 seconds. Don't have to put a lot of pressure. Remember, the muscle doesn't need to be stretched and pushed down. It just needs to be stretched. So there are two joints for the muscle. I kept one joint stable and I'm pushing the other joint away. So the muscle is getting stretched. It's very simple once you understand the anatomy of the muscle and their origin and insertion points. The simple way which I learned muscle origin and insertion points is, origin is the point where there's less mobility or limited mobility. Insertion points is where there's maximum mobility or the contraction is enabled. For example, my biceps, I'm doing the same thing by the way on this leg also. Just kept my leg straight and pushed my glute behind, feel the stretch. So my bicep muscle, it originates from my shoulder and inserts into my elbow joint, because this area is more stable or less mobile in terms of my muscle contracting, and this insertion point is a point where if the muscle contracts, the joint moves. At least that's how I try to remember my muscular origins and insertions. I might be totally wrong, but that's the easiest way I remember all my muscles origin and insertion points. And that's my hamstring stretched. So we are done with our static stretches. For my calves, I'm not stretching them much because I immediately did this superset and I stretched them during the exercise. So I don't feel much tightness there. So I'm not going to stretch them. You feel free to stretch them. Again, the technique is very simple. You just take a step-up box, put your toes, heels on the ground, toes on the box. So your calf basically has two points. It starts at your knee, ends at your ankle. So if your heels are grounded and stable, and then you take your knees forward, your calves get stretched. As simple as that, and you hold it there. And that's your calf stretch. So we are done with our static stretches for the day. So we are done with our uh, lower body day. We have done our leg workouts. The day, the day felt a little bit lighter for me personally, maybe because I did not load much on the squats and was still trying to get a grip out of it. So it might not be a lighter day for someone who has loaded their squats to the level of weight which they are usually comfortable with. I just wanted to learn my uh, squatting stance back, make sure there is no limitation. So I just did it without weights, but I made sure that I had my repetitions coming in, so my legs are not any less stressed out. Calf work was good. Hamstrings and glutes was a mixed experience because I was using a new machine. I'll try to come up with an exercise which is more, I would say, efficient. Some might suggest hip thrust. I'm I like hip thrust. I do it very well. I get a great contraction on my glutes. But for few people, I feel when they do hip thrust initially, when they're starting off, if they're a little bit new, they use a lot of it kind of becomes a little bit quad dominant if you don't know how to position yourself and activate your glutes properly. So the better way to learn is through RDL, stiff leg deadlifts, Bulgarian split squats, and white stance squats or leg presses. These kind of help you understand how the glutes feel when they're stretched and when they contract. Gives you a lot more activation. We will get to hip thrust in one point of time, but till then we are going to do a few exercises which are alternatives for our glute work. On that note, I hope uh, the workout was productive for you too. I'm really liking the way we are progressing in our workouts. I'm seeing a lot of improvements in terms of my grip strength, my calves getting a bit stronger. They would not increase their size as of now. I would really like them to increase a little bit of size, but grip strength definitely was substantial because we were recording it. Uh, Weights, you can definitely take a log of your weights, how much you are lifting, how much you are moving. I'm not recording my weights as of now because I really want to get to the movements a lot better. And my objective in terms of weight tracking is I always go for the challenging weight first and then see how my weight progresses. So you never forget the weight which is challenging to you. So if you have done last week 15 kilos, which was challenging to you, you always remember that, oh, I started with 15 kilos. And if the next week you know that 15 kilos kind of was easy and you try for the 20 and it doesn't work, you still remember that you have jumped from 15 to 20, it did not work, so you're going to stick to 15. So that's how I track. But you're more than welcome to track your weights to see your progression. Otherwise, I think this is coming out a lot better than I hoped it to be. Let's make the best out of the things which are available, at least at my disposal, is my objective. On that note, I wish you a good day, have a great evening, and thank you for joining Live Stronger. See you tomorrow.